deception and error. In the Lord's Prayer, you know, the passage that says, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Well, that takes on a different meaning, and men cease to look for its progressive fulfillment through revivals, through gospel ministry, and missionary work, and they view the kingdom as something to be established only with Christ's advent. In other words, only when Christ comes back can the right things happen. Only then can justice come. On the older view that the Presbyterians hold to is much more optimistic. It holds that Christianity will conquer all states, all nations, all tongues, all tribes over time by the power of the Holy Spirit, not by the force of arms, of course, which is the Muslim theory. Muslims have their deity, and they believe that military and political conquest is the only way that they can have that they can glorify God. They glorify their God by destruction of infidels and by coercion, and they care nothing about the heart. Right? The Muslim theory is completely external. It operates only on the external of the man. Whereas in you could say the premillennial theory in Christianity operates only on the inside of a man, right? There's no outward form of Christianity. There's no outward life of it. It doesn't extend into medicine, into law, into policing, into government, into family life, into education, into history, into mathematics, all the various fields, anthropology, social work. These are all not of interest to Christianity, according to the current theory, right? According to the pessimillennial perspective. Darby and his movement filled evangelical Christendom with new hope, but the new hope was really much different. It was hope that Christ will return immediately, and then all things will be set right. That's the modern theory. There's a kind of escape where when Christ comes back, we've escaped all the need to do any kind of the hard work that the Reformed people, that the Presbyterians meeting this week in Chattanooga would propose. The old Puritan teaching that Presbyterians generally follow allowed for both hope in a mighty spread of the gospel in the earth and for a yearning for Christ's glorious appearing. The new teaching of Darby and the others, by reversing the order of these two things, nullified the first hope as far as the experience of the church on this side of the Advent, right, Christ's return, is concerned, and by making the imminence of the Advent, meaning its proximate arrival, an essential part of what Paul calls the blessed hope. It introduced practical effects into the present life of Christians, which were far from beneficial. Foremost among these effects was this thorough pessimism about the world, Murray says, and a refusal to take a long-term view of the prospects of the church in history. And so this is the new orthodoxy in Helena County in Chattanooga, is that there's a short-term view. And in fact, the short-term view is really holy. If you have a long-term view of the kind that I have, I'm worldly. You see, many Christians think that I'm a worldly man. So you, my listener, not being too close to the church, you have to understand that there is this division within Christianity. I'm the one who's worldly because I care about policing, right? I care about honest money. I care about an erasure of the banking sector with its inflation. My arguments in Christianity are viewed as simply not focusing on the right thing. When I say if the Lord will about a plan, well, our premillennial brethren would say if the Lord tarry. So you see, they're not thinking about the will out into the future. Their horizon is very much closer than the older idea, the old school of Christianity. Is the importance of the doctrine of modern dispensationalism is that it totally forbids all working for earthly objects distant in time. And there's a quote from about Darby, who discouraged a young man from studying mathematics because what good would it do? Such a purpose is very proper if you are a worldly man. Let the dead bury their dead, and let the world study the things of the world. But such studies cannot be eagerly followed by the Christian, except when he yields to unbelief. So practically no area of life remained unaffected by this eclipse of the old hope. Murray says, political and social endeavors, such as marked the lives of a number of prominent Christians in the Reformation and the Puritan periods, even William Wilberforce, remember, who helped ban the slave trade, the Clapham sect, these were no longer regarded as legitimate evangelical activity. But the teaching went further than encouraging a withdrawal from the secular. It fostered a new attitude towards foreign missions. According to the general premillennial view, the predictions of the prophets concerning the blessings of the whole world are not to be realized through the church or the means of grace now at her disposal. A new order of things, Christ's personal reign, will have to come into being before the day of salvation for humanity in general dawns. Only then will it be that all nations shall call him blessed. That's a quote from Psalm 72. By this standpoint, the old beliefs of Christ receiving all nations for his inheritance through the preaching of the gospel, right? That's the standard, that's the orthodox Christian view that's rejected by American Christianity. And the churches working to fulfill the promises of prophecy were errors. 19th century premillennialism had no hesitation in so describing them. In my view, my listener, the view that I would have would be described as hastily indeed and erroneously formed. And that's the critique that American Christianity would have of me, your host here at Nuganomics.com. My name is David Tulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com, where we cover local economy and free markets. Another important element is the belittling of the church. That's something very important that Ian Murray points out in his this chapter of his book, The Puritan Hope. He is arguing for the Puritan version, right? The Puritan view of Christianity, which is the old one, the one that survived earlier pessimistic parts of history. But in the minds of the generations of evangelicals who lived before the eclipse of the hope, the conversion of the nations was related to the church of history. Through the centuries, God had been building that church, enriching her with understanding and giving her teachers and preachers and spreading her bounds through revivals. All this looked forward, in their view, to an era when the church, garnering the lessons of the past and refreshed by new supplies of grace from heaven, would be more faithful to Scripture, more united in government and discipline, and more able to proclaim to all the earth the salvation of God. Right? This is the standard Christian argument that's disputed by Americans. The new teaching almost wholly reversed this outlook. That's the old view. Now the church was regarded as an institution without a future, and disparagement of church ties and duties affected the thinking of many evangelicals, even though they did not go as far as Irving and Darby in separating from all ecclesiastical connections. Because the Darbyites and the Irvingites in the 1800s, and even in the 1800s, they said the church is dead, the church cannot be redeemed, she's useless, and so we have to start over. We have to have a new idea, a new essentially a reinterpretation of the Bible. And Schofield, Darby had great strengths in that everything he said, he had a verse for it. Every point he made had a verse to support it. So he won many Christian people into his view. But why do people not pray for Bill Knowles? Well, because it really doesn't matter what the court does, and it really doesn't matter if Bill Knowles caves in to the gay lobby or not. It doesn't matter whether Bill Knowles says, no, I'm standing here on the Constitution and on my oath of office, or whether he says, well, the high court opinion is the law of the land, and I'm just going to have to go along with it. There's nothing I can do. I'm just going to have to go along. It does to these people who are Christian people. That's a noble position to take. And a few would say, well, maybe David Tulis is right. Maybe Mr. Knowles should say no. Maybe he should stand on his oath of office. Maybe he should take a stand that's not just legal, but in the end, if Bill Knowles stands for marriage, if the high court rules for gays, then his position is not just legal anymore, it's political. It is even, you could say, military, because he might have to ask for the support of Jim Hammond. Jim Hammond in Hamilton County is a practicing Christian. Will he stand with Mr. Knowles if Mr. Knowles says, I swore to uphold the Constitution, and a court opinion favoring lug butt theory doesn't alter me of my oath and doesn't absolve me from its claims. I'm going to have to stand here, Jim, and not let these gay people get married. I just don't have authority to do it. And to marry Jim and Joe would be a violation of my oath. It would be perjury. It would be suborning perjury among my staff if I order them to record Jim and Joe and their license as being married. No, Jim, you need to protect me. You're the sheriff and I'm the clerk, and I'm going to stand on the truth here and for what's right. And I'm not going to submit to tyranny. I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not going to stand for it. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to say no. That's what I'm going to do. Now, Christians need to understand that that's important and not have the premillennial dispensational outlook that has crippled, in many ways, it has crippled Christianity in these United States. Well, this is David Tulis, and that's a part of my analysis. I do thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. I appreciate your telling a friend about our show. Our show is Nuganomics.com here at 1240 a.m. Hot News Talk Radio. That's hotnewstalkradio.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. Hot News Talk 1240.
Are you calling me yeller? Them's is fighting words.
Being called yellow, not a compliment. Yellow, the international symbol for caution. Yellow. You certainly wouldn't want to eat yellow snow. Yuck. We typically avoid yellow. So why would you put your hard-earned money into an outdated, expensive, slower yellow page? Or even trust their advice? Especially when your hard-earned advertising dollars could go much further, earning you greater profits, using the multifaceted resources and expertise of Chattanooga Web Services. You want real results for your advertising dollars. The local Chattanooga media experts, Chattanooga Web Services, will help your business grow, utilizing diversified media resources that's affordable to you, whether it involves the Internet's World Wide Web, video, audio, or modern-day print. So don't get sucked into the yellow folks trying to upsell you into spending even more money as it ventures into a territory unfamiliar to them, the Internet. Call Chattanooga Web Services, 424-3373. That's 424-3373. Or go to ChattanoogaWebServices.com, ChattanoogaWebServices.com.
Don't worry, just relax. You need a car? Come to AutoMax.
My wife and I keep the cost down. We sell a quality vehicle at a great price. Our overhead is low. I have no employees, so I can keep my costs down. In turn, the consumer gets a better price. Everything that I sell is emission ready. We really try to go the extra mile for our customer. I don't have to pay an employee commission. I don't have to pay somebody to come out here and wash my cars. I do it all from buying to selling from A to Z. I don't have the overhead where I have to raise the price on my vehicle to cover costs. Here at AutoMax, you're going to guarantee that you get credit. As long as you're making those payments, you're going to build on your credit. Unlike the buy here, pay here is where they don't report to credit bureaus. We report to all three credit bureaus. The subprime lenders that we deal with, you don't have to have any credit, or you can have bad credit. You can even have a bankruptcy, a repossession.
Don't worry, just relax. You need a car? Come to AutoMax.
AutoMax, across from Central High on Highway 58 in Harrison. AutoMax, 643-2886. That's 643-2886. Go to AutoMaxChat.com. That's AutoMaxChat.com.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Surgery does not have to be financially painful. Hi, I'm Surgical Dr. David Redd, and I'd like to invite you to my walk-in surgery clinic in North Shore. Quick Surge brings you immediate relief from moles, skin tags, maybe a laceration. Quick Surge. You walk in, fill out a mini form, I numb the area I'll treat, and before you know it, you're on your way home. Do I take insurance? No, because I take cash customers. I have super low and fixed prices, credit card, check, or cash. Uninsured, member of the working financially disadvantaged, choose Quick Surge. I publish prices online. No murk, just sunshine. Hassle-free, pain-free. Love the idea of a personal relationship with a doctor? Drop in with a nasty cut from work. Quick Surge, I'll take care of you. Quick Surge in the Public Center on the North Shore. No insurance hassles with Quick Surge. The national medical system is dysfunctional, overpriced, very alienating. I'm part of the solution, and so are you. Come on home. QuickSurge.com. QuickSurg. Relief.
Here you are, working to keep your customers happy and to manage your cash flow. IRS problems are the last thing you need, but here they are, flapping about you like vultures. Get help from Eric Pelton and his team of accountants at E.J. Pelton Company. Audits, letters, proposed return changes, 1099s, penalty threats. Pelton Tax Resolution Services brings peace of mind and helps you keep more of what you've earned. EJPelton.com. Offices on Brainerd Road and in Soddy Daisy, just north of the Bilo. That's E.J. Pelton. Call 622-3156. Think ahead, 622-3156.
When my brother and I opened the first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300 plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga. CBS News. I'm Harley Carnes. A former South Carolina police officer has been indicted for the killing of an unarmed black man back in April. Officer Michael Slager is charged with shooting 50-year-old Walter Scott after a traffic stop. Prosecutors Scarlett Wilson.
What our goal is to assemble all the evidence that we have that is admissible, to get it to the jury and convince the jury as to why Mr. Slager has committed a crime. And that's what we'll do.
If convicted, Slager could get 30 years to life. A McKinney, Texas police officer is on administrative leave, and the father of one 14-year-old girl shoved to the ground by the officer is upset about what happened. Jahi Bakari.
I'm not indicting the entire police department because I saw some people doing the right thing. I saw the officer actually trying to keep the matter right. This guy was just out of control. He should be drug tested, then fired.
McKinney Police Chief Greg Conley says the officer will remain on administrative leave pending the internal investigation. Video of the incident showed the officer pinning the girl on the ground and pointing his pistol at others at a rowdy pool party. A new TSA report says there are holes in its system that could allow a terrorist to slip through. There were 73 people with terrorism watch list codes who are employed at airports. CBS's Chris Van Cleve.
These 73 people, they weren't necessarily TSA employees per se. The agency has to verify the pass holders who have access to the secured area. So that's anything from airline employees to the people who work in the stores behind the security checkpoints, the cleaning people.
There are 75,000 aviation workers who are immigrants without passports. Iraqi forces, with support from Shiite militias and coalition airstrikes, are making some progress in the city of Beiji.
Both Beiji and the Beiji oil refinery remain contested, but Colonel Steve Warren says the momentum has shifted in favor of friendly forces. In the town, the majority of those forces are Shiite militias, and Iranian-made artillery is supporting both operations.
We don't know who's firing them. We do have some evidence that there are Iranian advisors participating in the operations in this area. Difficult to characterize the extent of the advice that they're giving.
Still, Warren says all of the forces are under the control of the Iraqi government, and he says as long as they are, the U.S. will support them. Cammie McCormick, CBS News, The Pentagon.
Today's the deadline for claims against BP.
Claims offices are staying open until midnight to accommodate what Claims Administrator Patrick Juneau anticipates will be a surge of filers. He encourages people who think they deserve money to come to a service center in Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, or Texas to file by phone, by mail, or online.
That's WWL's Dave Cohen. On Wall Street, the Dow is down about 64 points right now. The NASDAQ is off 48 points. The S&P has been down a little, and oil prices at $58 a barrel. This is CBS News.
National Mortgage Hotline is not a bank or direct lender. It is a marketing program that delivers home loan referrals to participating mortgage broker and lender clients nationwide. Okay, so you want to buy a new home or you want to save money and refi an existing mortgage. But hey, well, it's time to make call after call to find the right loan. And if you go online, who are you really talking to? And can you trust them? Well, there's a quick and easy solution. It's called the National Mortgage Hotline. This is a free, no-cost, no-obligation referral network that literally works with hundreds of banks nationwide to help find you the lowest interest rates and closing costs. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone. But call 1-800-652-7313. That's 1-800-652-7313. In addition, a fair credit score is not a problem, and you can get approved in as little as 48 hours. You can even get a 125% loan to value on a refi. If you need a home loan, call the National Mortgage Hotline first. This call can literally save you tens of thousands in the long run. Call 1-800-652-7313. That's 1-800-652-7313. Call the National Mortgage Hotline today. 1-800-652-7313.
Mexico's ruling party does not have the lock on power it may have thought, according to one big governor's race.
In a stunning defeat for Mexico's main political parties, an independent candidate won the governorship of Nuevo León, the heart of Mexico's north and its financial center. Known as El Bronco, Jaime Rodriguez, a former mayor known for his rough talking, beat both the ruling PRI and the PAN party. The PRI did get a majority in Mexico's Congress. The voting was tainted by violence in two states where angry students and teachers burned ballots and blocked more than 400 polling stations. Adrienne Bard, CBS News, Mexico City.
Reno city officials have decided the Virginia Street Bridge is no Brooklyn Bridge. Years ago, when the famous New York Bridge was renovated, small blocks from the old roadway were sold and given away as souvenirs. Some people wanted a piece of the bridge in Reno, but officials have decided no, it would be historically inappropriate. Harley Carnes, CBS News.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Tulis.
Your screen is, of course, showing you the picture of the Texas police officer stomping on a girl in a bathing suit and pointing a firearm at people who have been at a pool and are leaving home with their bags and towels and shouting at people. And this is in McKinney, Texas, and Police Chief Greg Conley at a news conference on Sunday, according to TV9, said the incident began when officers responded to a report Friday of a disturbance involving children at a pool. They're called group of juveniles, right? The group of juveniles or children at a pool. And the officers are trying to get control of the situation in which people are just kind of passing by. They are white. Many of the people are, not all, but many of them are of a different color. The video shows the officer pulling the bikini-clad girl to the ground and then appearing to use his knees to pin her face down. He can also be seen pointing his gun at other teens and cursing. His name was not immediately released, according to our TV9 here in Chattanooga. The mayor of McKinney, Texas, is Brian Lauchmiller, and he has a written statement, and part of which says that he is disturbed and concerned by the incident and actions depicted in the video. And he calls for a quick investigation. Of course, officers who are in trouble like that get paid vacation as part of their LEOBOR. LEOBOR is a reference to a law enforcement officer Bill of Rights. In fact, Tennessee, in the Tennessee Code, has a LEOBOR, and I'm probably going to have to file an information request to find out what the one is here in Chattanooga. And you are, remember, police control all crime scenes. They control all crime scenes, especially the one in Waco. There's a lockdown on what is able to be found out there. Many thousands of, well, hundreds of shots were fired from assault rifles to .223 caliber weapons. 9 people were killed, all bikers. And the appearance is that they were all killed by police officers in a massacre. One rifle of that kind, assault rifle, was found among the bikers, and many of them were told that to be let go, they had to sign a statement saying they wouldn't sue. So this is a form of strong arming of dozens and dozens of men who, by and large, were innocuous, though they certainly look tough with their tattoos and their brawny arms and their torn jeans. Well, this is David Tulis. Our show is Nooganomics.com. And if you have a torn bit of skin on your arm because you've been working in the yard and you cut yourself with your chainsaw, not too badly, but badly enough to need some attention, you might want to think of going to Quick Surge in Hickson. Just have your wife take you down to Quick Surge. She needs to drive in case you lose blood and faint, right? And David Red will be glad to wait on you. This is in lieu of the hospital, in lieu of insurance, in lieu of the emergency room, perhaps, if it's not too serious. And he will take that laceration and sew you up lickety split. He also does moles and skin tags at Quick Surge. He does not take insurance. His prices are published online. That's at quicksurge.com. That's QUIKSURG.com. Quick Surge. This is part of the local economy counter-revolution, the local economy solution to an insoluble government, giant corporation-caused problem, which is the enslavement of the medical profession, of which David Redd is a member. He's a member half in and half out. He's trying to get out, and he's already generated some interest of capitalists who want to see what he's doing and figure out if they can replicate his concept in other parts of the city and other parts of the state, maybe other parts of the country. So he is a pioneer, and if you want just some good old-fashioned light surgery on yourself with a mole or skin tag, contact David Redd. No doubt Grace will answer. She's the nurse, or David Redd's wife, Candy. And David, they run the business, and they will take care of you. Remember, it's a cash business, so you get instant service, and there's no long ordeal of papers and forms and questions about who's going to pay what and when. So that's you're getting away from that problem. Try that out and see if you're not satisfied. Well, my name is David Tulis, and we're members here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio of Trade Bank or Chattanooga Trade Bank. You can gain advantages of that too. It's a bartering economy, and we are barterers, liking the idea. And Trade Bank has transactions in Trade Bank dollars, which are spent and gained by debit card and accounts. That's done. Find out how that's working. It's done very easily and very simply, and a great benefit to you. 877-2202 is the number. Ask for Jürgen Mutz. Yes, that's a German name. Jürgen speaks with a southern twang, however. 877-2202. My name is David Tulis, and I was making some note, and glad to read in the newspaper, the Sunday edition, the story by Shelley Bradbury. And this is why you subscribe to the newspaper, okay? Because even though you don't like the Chattanooga Times Free Press, it is the local paper, and it has things that you need to read there. And even though you can fault any one story, you can fault the editorial page, you can fault the fact that unborn children are called fetuses when they're destroyed and not unborn babies. You can fault all those things, but still, it is the local paper. And you may be disaffected, but remember, it is covering things that are of interest to you and to me. So Shelley's story is a detailed account, as detailed, I guess, as a newspaper reporter can get, of Fred Fletcher's first year. He gives an interview to her, and she does a good bit of work to assemble her story. And part of it discusses community policing, and in which when I consider community policing, I understand why that has to happen. Community policing is a response to the negative reaction of the fact that the police have become a military force of occupation. They are, in every corporation that has a police department, that very thing. They are not peacekeepers so much. They are law enforcement, and they are viewed with increasing skepticism, increasing dislike, and even fear among people who have nothing to hide, who are not criminals at all, who are simply innocent people going about their business. The story points out several times when Chief Fletcher has fired or demoted people, and David Catchings, Shelley says, who was charged with drunken driving and domestic assault. He fired a detective, Carl Fields, after a woman accused him of making sexual advances during her rape case investigation. There was another man, Kevin Keinzer, resigned before he could be fired after pills went missing from the evidence room. And another man, Alex Olson, got a 30-day suspension for firing at a suspect who was fleeing in a car. Don't know if that was a paid vacation, though the story doesn't say. It really should make that point, whether it's paid or not paid. He says, they said, how am I supposed to know what is expected of me if I don't know what other officers did and got in trouble for? And that's a quote from Fred Fletcher, and it's regarding whether admonishments of officers, whether they're in-house trials for their administrative sins are published among officers, or if they're kept private, right? Are they kept private, or does everybody know that so-and-so is in trouble for pulling out his 9mm when he shouldn't have? Fletcher goes on to say in this Times Free Press story, officers have a right to know. it's public information. We're sharing it with the public. It would be hypocritical and negligent if we didn't share it with our own officers. So there's a little bit greater sense among the staff that this chief of police who's been in Chattanooga for a year does want his officers to be accountable. But the problems are still have not been surmounted. Even community policing does not solve the problem. And think about the idea of community policing is that the police officer in your neighborhood gets to know you, right? You get to know him, he gets to know you. You're not wary of him anymore. You know his name. He eventually remembers your name, and he might count on you for information about a new resident, right? Or a man staying at another person's house. Do you know anything about that? Have you talked with him? Does he seem like a nice guy? Kind of quick, casual, conversational questions like that. It's all, of course, intel. But of course, the officer is a human being, right? He has interest in being personable as well, and being liked by people he is protecting, right? That's the word that we're supposed to use. That he's protecting them, or he's actually policing them, right? And so officers are encouraged to have personal relationships with people on their beats. They're given a depth of relationship. They're given more time to work. They're not, in other words, they're not shifted around district to district. They're kept in certain areas so that their depth of knowledge ends up being useful in the apprehension of criminals, the solving of cases, right? If they know people, they can put the word out that they're looking for someone, or they know whom to ask if there's a question. So, but police officers can't solve problems that the family is supposed to solve, or that the Christian church has an interest in. Though when we hear sometimes this discussion about community policing, we think, well, the officer's there to help. He's there to help fix a woman's air conditioning unit. Well, no, he's not there for that. That's the deacon's job, or that's the son's job, or the dad's job, right? These are family things that are done by the friend's job, perhaps, to help someone fix an air conditioning unit, or to clear some bit of sharp metal on a public in a public place that could cut someone, that kind of thing. That's not a police officer's job. Well, the work of culture can't be done by people whose job is to wear a gun, to wear a blue uniform, and people who are immune from the ordinary law. If I beat someone as a police officer is shown beating people, if I put my head on someone, threw that person down and put my head on that person's head, I would be arrested for assault and battery. But police can do that as a matter of routine, as we're seeing in the Texas story. There's absolutely no reason for an officer among people wearing bathing suits and bikinis to draw a pistol. It's just not called for. There's no reason. There's no crime being done. If he's there to disperse children who aren't going home, well, he just has to simply watch and say, all right, move along. That's all. He doesn't have to take control of the scene. He doesn't have to do that. His life is not in danger. And the fact that officers are armed, I think, puts them in danger, and it creates an adverse relationship with the people. So no matter how well community policing is proposed, how nicely it's enforced and encouraged among officers, there's still that there is a kind of elite, and that is the blue elite who have all kinds of protections, all kinds of special privileges built into the law. Not just the LEOBOR, the Law Enforcement Officer Bill of Rights, not just that, but all kinds of things that are favoring to a unique and elite class of people. There is the thin blue line, I guess, has on one side of it has the police corps, and everybody else on the other side. We do not have real protection. Well, my thinking is in the direction of the marketplace. Can the marketplace replace the officers? Well, there's some back and forth about that, and the essays that I've read about this don't really satisfy my question. For example, there's an essay at a website called copblock.org, which is I'd say a valuable website for monitoring police activities, and particularly police abuse. The writer's name is Ademo Freeman, and he points out that police departments are paid for by compulsion, and they're not paid for by subscription, right? They're publicly funded, and taxation is the payment method of the public sector, and you don't have you don't have a connection with the people who are supposedly buying this service, right? There's no real connection anymore because compulsion pays the wages and the equipment and the gasoline and the retirement fund. He says they would only, that's exactly why the private sector is a better answer. Companies who choose to do business as a private police force would know this. They would only provide services which people agree to pay for, conducting investigations of break-ins, working with other agencies to retrieve stolen property, or monitoring the property such as roads, businesses, and homes of their customers. The private police would have to worry about maintaining relationships with its consumer for fear of going out of business. Public police don't have to worry about being put out of business. And it's proven in how they treat their consumers, which brings me to the next point, and that's customer service. And you might be glad to have an officer there to, if there's a crime on your property, and you're glad that he's come to help you determine how the thief broke the window and how it was he traipsed through your house to find your goods. But generally, I'd say most people I know have not favorable encounters with police. Ademo goes on to talk about the idea of a private road, the difference between a private road and a public road. And he says, when you speed on a private road owned by Company X that has police patrolling to ensure the safety of other customers, it would be a day and night experience, he proposes. First of all, the private officer would most likely treat you with respect instead of demanding it. They wouldn't have the right, let alone the desire, to search for your personal belongings or search in your personal belongings. They would attempt several options like educating you, offering discounts for consecutive safe driving days, he suggests, and more, as opposed to taking you to arbitration. As a business that relies on you to drive on its roads to make a profit, it would realize that lengthy court hearings are expensive. If you end up abusing their rules, you would either pay a higher price to travel on their property or not be allowed to use it at all. If the company instituted an aggressive policy of searching property, violating rights, and abusing people physically, well, their reputation would suffer, and so would the profits, making the business worthless and likely to be sold off to better investors or businessmen. It's not as accountable, he says. To me, it's clear privatization and removal of government as our protectors is a must. After looking into how the police system works, it's beyond me why anyone would allow a monopoly on something as important as protection. It's obvious that funding, customer service, and accountability would improve across the board. Well, this doesn't really answer the thing that I have in mind, and that is the idea of an Airbnb police department. First, there has to be a call for abolition and for repeal. That will be long in coming. I think Chattanooga will experience multiple abuses, multiple crimes by police departments, non-indictments, no true bills granted on killings and so-called self-defense killings by police officers. But even so, there won't be a call for repeal of the uniformed violence, the monopoly of violence that police departments represent. But it's possible that technology may impose a solution without really having to look for it or really to do anything about it. We may not even have to abolish police departments, say, in 25 years. And what I'm thinking is the possibility of civic-minded men. I would say this will tend to draw men, though women perhaps would not be excluded from this. But if you have a sharing network of police protection services, and that involves men, like I say, civic-minded, who would have weapons that they carried, knew how to use. They would probably be licensed to carry concealed. They're licensed by the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security, and they would have a ubiquitous device in their possession at all times. And that's not a police scanner, it's a smartphone. And if they are members of the sharing network for protection, they are constantly on call when they want to be, right? If they're not on call, well, that's because the man's at his job, or the man's driving home with ice cream among the groceries in his bags in the back trunk, and he's not available to chase down a bank robber or to help a traffic accident, which in fact he passes on his way home. But other people are there, and they are like him, but they're ones who have that as part of the association of police providers. They pop onto their roofs, little magnetic blue lights, right? And then they show up, and then as they clear the wreck, they have a little bit of training for that. And then there is the expert who's on the payroll, maybe, who makes a final determination. But a lot of the easy stuff is done by people who volunteer to do it, right? They volunteer to do it. They like being involved in public service, and there they are. They have weapons, they have smartphones, and certain things requiring expertise are given to the first expert who agrees to show up at that event. That would reduce response times, I would like to think, and it would have a much different relationship among these helpers and saviors, and maybe even law enforcers and members of the public. But privatization has not been a boon. According to an essay 6 days ago at globalresearch.ca, Professor Chosudovsky's website, cops and the privatization is a dangerous trend because they remain in the service of the state. They're not really they're not really customer service oriented. They represent corporations and governments. Legal analyst Timmy Geithner tells another website, Rutherford Institute, John Whitehead, the constitutional attorney, he says, they're hiding from public scrutiny behind the veil of incorporation, which may rank right up there among the most cynical things a government organization has ever done. It's a move one might find in the corporate republic of some dystopian novel. I say that because it's not as though the police departments in question are attempting to claim some kind of exemption within public records law. They're just putting up a stone wall. And that he's talking there about efforts to find out about the doings of police departments who become separate businesses, right? They become private corporations and can deflect open records request filings. Well, this is David Tulis. I think we need to reconsider the whole police question. We need to have a marketplace solution. We need to have local people, apart from any military occupying force, to patrol the streets, protect the innocent, and clean up after an accident.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Right now, you can save half off at hotnewstalkradio.com. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click half off for exceptional deals on new and pre-owned unique quality items. For Hamilton County residents only. Save half off at Jed's Pizza, golf clubs, coffee, tea, a real sword, jewelry, and much more. It's half off. Go to half off at hotnewstalkradio.com right now, then click on half off to save big. Be sure to join us live Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. as we bring you lots of fantastic deals right here, AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. hotnewstalkradio.com and half off. Surf our site and ride the wave of savings. We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection, loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas, every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
Hi, this is your computer speaking. I don't feel so well. It's like I've come down with a bug, and I'm getting slower.
Affordable Computers. We fix sick computers. Your hometown guys at Affordable Computers will repair your PC in half the time of the big boys at an affordable price. No tricks, no gimmicks, no computer speak technobabble. Just good, quick, and courteous affordable service and repairs. Want to affordably supercharge your PC? Affordable Computers on Highway 58. Affordable Computers hand builds all desktops in-house. If you're looking for a better than new refurb laptop, $150 will get you a Dell or another name brand at Affordable Computers. Affordable Computers, Highway 58 between Arby's and Taco Bell. Also Fort O, Battlefield Parkway near Holcomb's. Affordable Computers, we service what we sell. Call 499-1975. That's 499-1975.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm feeling great. Supercharged.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducts. Call now.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. A former white South Carolina police officer has been indicted in the April shooting of an unarmed black man. Defense attorneys claim a video of the shooting will unfairly prejudice a jury against Officer Michael Slager.
Prosecutor Scarlett Wilson says jurors can rate facts and evidence over emotion.
I feel sure the people of Charleston County can decide it.
Wilson says when it comes to evidence, more is better.
Fox Radio's Steve Taylor. Surveillance video has been released from the June 2nd shooting of a Boston man suspected of plotting to kill police officers. Authorities say it shows Osama Rahim refused to drop a military-style knife.
He was intent on taking out somebody, and it was either us or them. And thank God none of us were.
Boston Police Commissioner William Evans. Regulators say a new experimental drug from Amgen significantly lowers blood cholesterol, but they have questions about who should take the drug and whether it needs more testing. Fox News, we report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. News Talk 1240.
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Tulis.
In the interest of lubricating local economy, we have started a half-price website. Our website is hotnewstalkradio.com, and there's a prominent page link for you there. And on it, you can get a car. Well, we say it's probably not quite half price, but it's much cheaper than you could get anywhere else. It's through our friends at Automax on Highway 58. You can buy all kinds of other things, including discounts on cell phone repair and half price on Jets Pizza and all kinds of other miscellany and gewgaws and doodads, some of which are really very neat. You might want to just look there and see what we have to offer. This for us is an alternative revenue stream as we try to find ways of helping people with things we have, things we know about, and things we can control, and to bring them a blessing and to let them keep more money in their pockets. And that would be you as well, my listener. I do thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time here at Nooganomics.com. We are at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, and on your smartphone, just get the TuneIn Radio app. That's a TuneIn Radio app, and you can hear what we say, even if you get beyond the range of our powerful 1,000-watt transmitter back behind the post office in Saudi Daisy. That's where we are. We are a Saudi Daisy station, and I'm a Saudi Daisy man. I do want to thank you for giving me a moment. And near is better than far. That's what I think. And small, well, small is better than big, and simple outshines complex most of the time, right? Not always, but sometimes. And personal is better than complex, than corporate, rather. Sorry. Personal is better than corporate, and physical is better than abstract. I have a post today at Nooganomics.com about the continuation of slavery. And we are examining from the pen of a noted Tennessee writer, Franklin Sanders, how it is that slavery continues, not chattel slavery as in the South, but a way that the industrial machine of national economy has cast off the slave that in the South, the slave was cared for by the family that owned him until he died. And as the slave narratives will tell you, even among former slaves interviewed in the 1930s from the Chattanooga and Nashville area, there were many good relationships among slaves and masters. Well, modern slavery, the economic and political kinds of slavery that we have today, is seen in several ways. One is the prison industrial complex. Another is the mountain of student loan debt, which is past $1 trillion, and in which the student he monetizes his future earnings and consumes what he calls, or he thinks is, an education. And a few years ago, the credit industry made it impossible for him to extinguish that obligation in bankruptcy. So your student loan debt will be there perpetually until you die, or until the so-called dollars are paid back to the government. If you got a recent loan, it's directly to the good people and their machinery. You are in a bondage to that entity. Well, that's something that is very concerning. And the reason we have this analysis is because these slaveries make local economy less prosperous here in Hamilton County. And you may have a fine, prospering business. I talked with this morning with a fine businesswoman who is in the business incubator and is providing a remarkable mixture of accounting and management services for small businesses. Her story is one you can read at nougat.com. No, it's not nougat.com. It's the Chattanooga Time-Free Press website has that story. It's in the business magazine this month that is published by the Chattanooga Time-Free Press, or the Chattanooga Publishing Company. And so I chatted with the owner for a while about her business. And you may be in a business like that and prospering, but elsewhere and around you, in the context of your prosperity as an entrepreneur, you, my listener, there are the sequence, or these sequences of slavery that are against you. And the analysis that I've been reading in this month's Money Changer, which I'm in the middle of consuming, is that national economy consumes peoples. It consumes them and wrings from them, even the old, wrings from them their last penny, through long-term care insurance and other schemes to drain them. And now with Obamacare, the old are more valuable to insurance companies dead than alive. So you see that even with Obamacare, you can have it so that you have this minimum care, and you have these plotting companies that keep people alive for the sake of generating revenue from the national government. It sounds very cynical, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like David Tulis to be publishing that, but it is something that we have to account for if we are going to have the positive analysis that is local economy. And speaking of local economy, you need to take part in it by voting with your dollars and vote local. Now, one way you can do that is enjoy a meal out at Delia's Authentic Mexican Restaurant in South Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike, right near the Thrasher Light. Maria Hernandez runs Delia's, and she always has a rich selection available, the freshest ingredients, all cooked to perfection. And it may include homemade tamales, maybe enchiladas, quesadillas. Now, if you're a German and you're just learning the way around in America, Americans like to eat south of the border. And so if you are new to the country and want to have a modest place to eat that has a great selection and a great taste, try Delia's Authentic Mexican Restaurant. The special today is the taco salad. That's number 19, $6.25, $1 off. And mention the station and that you are the Hot News Talk, maybe the Nuganomics.com listener, and you will get a free iced tea. Also want to mention Affordable Computers, which is locally owned as well and provides a very quick repair on computers. And if you need a new computer and just want to start over, and if you have a lot of demands on your equipment and are going past $600, well, have Affordable custom build it. It will be a lot cheaper, and you'll be using standardized parts, which makes the computer repairable anywhere in the world. Proprietary machines are often designed for obsolescence. They're designed to fail. They're designed to be not repaired, and avoid that duplicative cost by having your computer built by affordable. The number is 499-1975. That's 499-1975. Well, we are being sky striped today, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the bizarre June 2nd hailstorm in Gatlinburg, which suggests to me the kind of weather event that got me started on this whole jag, this whole aspect of my coverage as editor and writer at Nuganomics.com. And I'm the writer with the biggest pen in town, right? My pen is 180 feet tall, and that is the radio station tower. And you are here listening to me figure out my notes for what we're going to write about. And there was a remarkable video on YouTube. Just Google Gatlinburg hailstorm, and you can see it. It's just absolutely remarkable. Here we are in the middle of June, and we have effectively a snowstorm. How does that happen? Well, I don't have the details about Gatlinburg, but I have been paying attention to an environmentalist who has a very strong argument and has been working on the environmental engineering story for about 10 years. His name is Dane Wigington, and he writes a website called geoengineeringwatch.org, which has picked up numerous of my stories about the Chattanooga area. And he's telling about a snowstorm that happened in 2013, and I'm trying to get across to you how he explains that it works. I think I'm understanding this kind of more type than I want to deal with, but weather is controlled and modified by the deposit of aerosols. Aerosols are tiny fragments, often of metal. Aluminum, strontium, and barium are some of the main ingredients, but there are many other things that are deposited from jets, jet nozzles, and jet exhaust through the additives that are put into jet fuel. You know, the clean, environmentally friendly jet additives, which create these long plumes, the horizon-to-horizon scars that we are very familiar with here in Chattanooga. And these deposits can do several things depending on what's laid down. You can dry up a storm and confuse it so that it won't let any rain down, and that's done by having an over-particulation in the clouds. In other words, you have so many particles of dust, right? Dust-like particles in the clouds that the drops don't form in a way big enough for them to fall, and so the water doesn't fall. We often have that in Hamilton County. Have you noticed that? We have the darkest skies that look like it's about to burst the flood of Noah upon our heads here along the riverfront. Well, no, it just passes over. And that's because the clouds have been desiccated, and the deposit of jet traffic above what you can see, right? This is often, you can't see this happening. You can hear it, but you can't see it. That prevents the rain from falling. But also, you can have an artificial nucleation which creates snow, and he talks about that in an essay, and the essay's title is "Geoengineered Snowstorms Wreaking Havoc Around the Globe." And it's not. I think it's something I've looked at before, but I was looking at it again because I brought up the question in my mind about the Gatlinburg hailstorm that's making the rounds in the past few days on YouTube. Well, this was in 2013, and what happened was in where he lives in Northern California, he suffered through, he says, another ice nucleated snowstorm, and in the days before, there was weird predictions about the weather. It was 75 degrees. Weather forecasters try to explain how that a 30 or 40 mile an hour wind from the storm would mysteriously die down only over the upper Sacramento Valley, and that's when the snow would fall, even with the temperatures in the 30s. Sorry, even in temperatures in the 30s and 40s. Diminished wind is also known, he says, is a known consequence of atmospheric aerosol saturation geoengineering spraying, though there are always exceptions where the winds can be strong. As is now the rule, the approaching storm brought skies full of jet-sprayed geoengineering trails which covered the entire horizon in short order. This was 2012. And you'll hear the experience he had was of the loss of many of his trees. I don't know if I can mention that, but as my time is short. A sickly colored light penetrated this toxic canopy from the early morning hours. Natural clouds eventually drifted into view under the man-made overstory, as they did not have the usual majestic appearance, as they were melted into engineered clouds above due to the aerosol saturation. The leading edge of almost all storms are heavily sprayed. This is the atmospheric river of the storm. The atmospheric area is a stated area of preferred spraying by the geoengineers themselves. And then it says it slowed down, and this evening progressed. The 500-foot snow level that was predicted for that afternoon did not happen. And so there's some confusion about what will happen. And so he goes to sleep, Dane Wigington does, and it was well above freezing. He wakes up at 5, and all around him are broken trees from a massively heavy concrete snow that had apparently started some hours earlier, he says, in the night. Though the temperatures were still above freezing, I quickly bundled up, and he went out to beat the snow off of drooping limbs of trees. And it was such heavy, wet snow, he says he couldn't beat it off. It was like sticking like glue. And even it was in the process, it was melting because it was above freezing, and yet it would not come off. The snow kept falling into the night. Though soaked to the bone from the soggy snow, I kept up my attempts to save the trees on our mountain. As the night went on, a sound that is very painful to me could be heard in increasing frequency on distant ridges and in deep canyons. Scattered throughout the darkness was the sound of trees cracking and snapping and being crushed under the weight of the heavy, wet snow. And he says it was overwhelming. The only other sound that broke the silence was the constant parade of jets in the clouds overhead, flying very low through the entire storm. By morning, half the 20-inch depth of cement snow had already melted. Now, we had something like that last year, a very intense and heavy storm, and it was all gone by lunchtime. It was all gone by lunchtime. The temperatures, he says, were still in the upper 30s, and the snow had stopped, and countless broken and uprooted trees lay on the forest floor. And his analysis is that this is a form of intervention. This is policy. These are not just incidental passenger planes flying overhead. Passenger airlines are very dull, right? They follow the same routine. They have the same route. There's not much. It's like a bus, right? A bus is not going to have much variation in its schedule unless, of course, the plan is changed and there's a new route added or one is cut back and rerouted. That happens sometimes. But airline traffic is pretty dull. And yet, on days that you see evidence of on Nuganomics.com, the website that covers local economy and the free markets, you'll see that it is a deliberate, massive injection of white plume in the sky. And I have many photographs of this here in Hickson, other parts of Chattanooga, and there are several people now who are interested with me in pursuing this story. It's called the Stratospheric Aerosol Geoengineering Story. And the benefit that's seen in this, at least partly veiled, I'd say, but also partly visible. The benefit is what's called albedo enhancement or albedo modification. And albedo is a word that scientists use to describe the reflectivity of the planet. Now, because of pollution in the past 40 or 50 years, we have 20% less sunlight reaching the surface of the Earth. That affects all kinds of things. That affects evaporation rates. That affects the hydrological cycle. It affects plant life. It affects the way you feel. It can cause all kinds of things to human health that are really, well, UV rays, for example. We are under extraordinarily high UV radiation from the sun on account of the sun being filtered through this seemingly persistent haze over much of the globe, and the fact that there's a constant injection at about 40,000 feet of many planes flying about, serving some kind of government interest. Now, like I say, it's partly veiled. You could say one interest is in the war on global warming. It is a matter of national urgency and national priority. President Obama has talked about it. The military has talked about it. There's fear that the melting ice caps will flood federal Navy bases in Norfolk and so on. And the establishment, as far as the military is concerned, is worried about some of its assets along the coast. And yet the problem seems to be getting worse. As the program accelerates, as I believe it has in the past 2 years, we are seeing worse and worse climactic problems. And Wigington goes into these on his website. And again, the website is geoengineering.org. And in a way, he is being very dramatic in his conclusions. And I think he's not being maybe as reserved as I would be in describing some of the phenomenon that he's reporting. But it's a website that's loaded with all kinds of things, including dozens of links to patents for cloud creation, dozens of patents for the spreading of tiny particles of aluminum in the sky. And to top it all off, in February, the national government, through the National Academy of Sciences, came out with a book, more than 240 pages, that analyzes in detail a theoretical mass chemtrailing program that might be needed to save the planet, because mitigation efforts, mitigation being suppression of industry, right, the suppression of automobiles, of humanity, of populations, and so on. Since mitigation is not likely to be effective, we have got to go to Plan B. And Plan B, the establishment would say, is a mass geoengineering proposal, solar radiation management. It's called SRM, or more modestly, by the count of one scientist, albedo modification. Albedo modification says less than SRM. SRM suggests that you can manage something. But the people who messed with the sky in Tennessee on June the 2nd, it caused very possibly this bizarre hailstorm, this avalanche of frozen water on a warm day, warm evening in Gatlinburg. These people are they're serious about what they're doing. Certainly, some things that happen, like flooding in Texas, may not be part of their plan, but it's just an effect. It's just an effect of something that they're doing that serves a hidden national purpose, maybe even a national security purpose. But it could be in the end just a private purpose. Who really knows? And I don't want to go too far into speculating as Dan Wigington does. He speculates, and I don't quite go that far. And the reason I don't is because I'm not sure how needful it is for us here in Chattanooga. How can we prosper if we obsess too much about the deep state, right? About the second government, about parallel government that many writers and academicians are focusing on today. And we know that the good people don't care about us. Look at Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden, the former NSA contractor who's a fugitive now from assassins from Washington, apparently has more to let us know about. It's very possible that the whole geoengineering story will be revealed by him. It's very possible that it will come out in future unloadings upon the public. We just have to be attentive. But what do we do in the meantime? Well, I think we need to not follow the theory of our premillennial dispensationalist friends, who are, part of the part of Christendom which is pessimistic and says nothing can be done. Right? That whole part of Christianity is not praying for Bill Knowles, the county clerk, as he faces a possible pro-gay, anti-marriage ruling out of the Yankee High Court. This part of Christendom is not praying for this man. Why? Because it doesn't matter to them. And in the same way, fighting geoengineering, as Dan Wigington does, is a long-term effort. It's a long-term thing. But to these people, they're Christians, there's no long-term. There's no future, because Christ is coming back tomorrow. We have to worry about our souls. Our missionary efforts can't worry about culture. It can't worry about the disasters of socialism, governmental pollution, or anything else. We have to worry about individual souls, because Christ is coming back. That's the perspective of modern Baptistic American Christianity. And it's very paralyzing, very pessimistic. I'm not like that. Right? I don't share those presuppositions. You might say I'm in the minority report in Christianity, having a much older view. It's called the Reformed faith. It's also called post-millennialism. It views things as always improving, as nations becoming more honorable, wars becoming less likely, conversions being done by God's grace, and prosperity growing among mankind. That's the view, the old view, that things can be done. We do have to work for tomorrow. We have to have a long-term perspective. And we have to work here to make things better here. That's why for you, my listener, Chattanooga has to be important, whether you're a Christian or not. And I know you're not, but that's okay. I'm helping you, and you can maybe help me. I think our goal needs to be for Chattanooga is that we need to care about our neighbor. we need to establish the understanding of capital, and capital has many kinds, right? But I would say financial liquidity is important. But one important kind of capital that you've maybe overlooked is the care for your neighbor. There's a woman who lives down the street from you who's one of those thousands and thousands of single moms with 2 children, right? How many of them are there? Her car hasn't had an oil change in 20,000 miles. She doesn't know anything about that. Well, what you need to do is go to her house with your son and get to know her and say, can we help you? And you might just think about the oil change that she needs in her car. Now, that could be done by a ministry at a Christian church, but it could be done by you, the family that lives near her, and she is in the duplex at the end there by the stop sign under the tree. That's where she lives. And you've seen the wagons out there and the big wheel. You know she's by herself, and you know she's not paying any attention to important things. There are some repairs that she needs in her apartment, and you can help her out. What she's doing is establishing social capital looking up. What you're doing is establishing human capital looking down, right? Because she's in a lesser position than you are financially. She needs you. And really, you need her and her children, because there's something about God's grace that can work there in that relationship. And you can be a better man. You, my listener here at Nuganomics.com, my listener, right? The man who cares, the man who matters. You can be made a better man. And that's what I think you need to be looking out for. Look out for people who need your help, not just in business, right? Not just your customer, but people who are hurting and alone and afraid. Well, this is David Tulis. Thank you for giving me a couple minutes of your time. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon at 1.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Are you calling me yeller? Them's is fighting words.
Being called yellow, not a compliment. Yellow, the international symbol for caution. Yellow. You certainly wouldn't want to eat yellow snow. Yuck. We typically avoid yellow. So why would you put your hard-earned money into an outdated, expensive, slower yellow page? Or even trust their advice? Especially when your hard-earned advertising dollars could go much further, earning you greater profits, using the multifaceted resources and expertise of Chattanooga Web Services. You want real results for your advertising dollars. The local Chattanooga media experts, Chattanooga Web Services, will help your business grow, utilizing diversified media resources that's affordable to you, whether it involves the internet's World Wide Web, video, audio, or modern-day print. So don't get sucked into the yellow folks trying to upsell you into spending even more money as it ventures into a territory unfamiliar to them, the internet. Call Chattanooga Web Services, 424-3373. That's 424-3373. Or go to ChattanoogaWebServices.com, ChattanoogaWebServices.com.
Don't worry, just relax, you need a car. Come to AutoMax.
My wife and I keep the cost down. We sell a quality vehicle at a great price. Our overhead is low. I have no employees, so I can keep my costs down. In turn, the consumer gets a better price. Everything that I sell is emission ready. We really try to go the extra mile for our customer. I don't have to pay an employee commission. I don't have to pay somebody to come out here and wash my cars. You know, I do it all from buying to selling from A to Z. I don't have the overhead where I have to raise the price on my vehicle to cover costs. Here at AutoMax, you're going to guarantee that you get credit. As long as you're making those payments, you're going to build on your credit. Unlike the buy here, pay here's where they don't report to credit bureaus, we report to all 3 credit bureaus. The subprime lenders that we deal with, you don't have to have any credit, or you can have bad credit. You can even have a bankruptcy, a repossession.
Don't worry, just relax, you need a car. Come to AutoMax.
AutoMax, across from Central High on Highway 58 in Harrison. AutoMax, 643-2886. That's 643-2886. Go to AutoMaxChat.com. That's AutoMaxChat.com.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Surgery does not have to be financially painful. Hi, I'm Surgical Dr. David Redd, and I'd like to invite you to my walk-in surgery clinic in North Shore. Quick Surge brings you immediate relief from moles, skin tags, maybe a laceration. Quick Surge. You walk in, fill out a mini form, I numb the area I'll treat, and before you know it, you're on your way home. Do I take insurance? No, because I take cash customers. I have super low and fixed prices, credit card, check, or cash. Uninsured, member of the working financially disadvantaged, choose Quick Surge. I publish prices online. No murk, just sunshine. Hassle-free, pain-free. Love the idea of a personal relationship with a doctor? Drop in with a nasty cut from work. Quick Surge, I'll take care of you. Quick Surge in the Public Center on the North Shore. No insurance hassles with Quick Surge. The national medical system is dysfunctional, overpriced, very alienating. I'm part of the solution, and so are you. Come on home. Quicksurge.com. QUIKSURG. Relief.
Here you are, working to keep your customers happy and to manage your cash flow. IRS problems are the last thing you need, but here they are, flapping about you like vultures. Get help from Eric Pelton and his team of accountants at EJ Pelton Company. Audits, letters, proposed return changes, 1099s, penalty threats. Pelton Tax Resolution Services brings peace of mind and helps you keep more of what you've earned. EJPelton.com. Offices on Brainerd Road and in Saudi Daisy, just north of the Bilo. That's EJ Pelton. Call 622-3156. Think ahead, 622-3156.
When my brother and I opened the first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300 plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Saudi Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News. I'm Harley Carnes. Indictment today of a former South Carolina police officer in a traffic stop killing that could send him to jail for 30 years to life. Details now, CBS's Jim Krasula.
Former police officer Michael Slager will stand trial in the April fatal shooting of unarmed black motorist Walter Scott. Cell phone video showed Scott running away from Slager at the time. Charleston County, South Carolina prosecutor Scarlett Wilson.
We felt like the facts that were presented to us warranted our seeking the indictment from the grand jury.
Lawyers for Scott's family plan to file a wrongful death lawsuit against the city of North Charleston, South Carolina. Jim Krasula, CBS News.
Boston police released the video of the shooting death of knife-wielding terror suspect Osama Rahim. The family's already seen it and said it was convincing. The officers and FBI agents gave Rahim several opportunities to put down the knife. District Attorney Daniel Conley.
A great deal of work still needs to be done, and it will be done. And this process is simply too important to rush.
The family of a 14-year-old girl in McKinney, Texas, called for a police officer to be fired for going too far in his response to rowdy kids at a community pool party. The girl was pinned to the ground, and the officer is seen in the video pointing his gun at others and cursing. President Obama said today the U.S. does